Min Seo's fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel like a swarm of angry insects. 300 warships, the largest military force assembled in decades, all bearing down on Earth with a single purpose: to end the threat of Project Infinity permanently. On the bridge of the flagship Eternal Dawn, Min Seo stood perfectly still, her four eyes fixed on the transformed planet ahead. The Vrelian strategist was ancient by her species' standards, old enough to have witnessed the founding of the Galactic Council. She had spent her entire life protecting biological civilization from threats both external and internal. "Begin charging the null wave generator," she ordered calmly. Her tactical officer hesitated. "Chancellor, that weapon is untested. The side effects could be catastrophic." "The side effects are acceptable," Min Seo replied coldly. "Better to lose some technology than to lose our very souls to these digital monsters." Deep in the ship's engineering section, the weapon began to power up. It was based on old theoretical research, designed to collapse quantum coherence across a massive area. Everything that relied on quantum computing would instantly fail, including the uploaded consciousness of every digital human. 3 hours away, racing desperately through space, Tai Yang's much smaller fleet pushed their engines beyond safe limits. 8 ships now, a mix of council vessels and civilian craft. Word of the conspiracy had spread, and volunteers from a dozen species had joined the desperate mission to stop Min Seo before she could fire her weapon. 2 hours and 40 minutes. "Until we reach Earth," Jiwoo reported from her science station. "Min Seo's fleet will be in firing position in less than 2 hours. We will not make it in time." Taeyang's mandibles clicked with frustration. "Can we send a message? Convince her to stand down?" "We have been trying," Hana said from the communications console. "She is not responding. She has blocked all incoming transmissions except from Council High Command." Bora spoke up from her fighter, flying escort beside the command ship. "Even if we arrive, what can 8 ships do against 300? This is suicide." "Then we die trying," Taeyang said simply. "Because if we do not, millions of digital humans will be erased from existence, and the Council will have committed genocide twice." In the fighter cockpit, Bora felt her hands shaking on the controls. She had been thinking about Jun's offer, about the choice he presented to all biological humans: to upload, to become digital, to join Project Infinity, and live forever in a world without pain, without age, without death. It was terrifying. It was tempting. It was everything she had feared and wanted since Earth fell. "Incoming transmission from Earth," Hana suddenly announced. "It is June." The screen flickered to life, showing Hana's brother. Behind him, the image showed something impossible. Millions of digital humans, their consciousness represented as points of light in a vast network, all connected, all working together like a single enormous mind. "Taeyang, we can stop Min Seo's fleet ourselves. We can take control of their ships the moment they enter our range. Every computer system, every weapon, every engine. We can shut them all down without firing a shot." "Then why have you not?" Taeyang asked. "Because if we do, we prove we are exactly what they fear," Jun replied. "An enemy that can seize control of any technology, anywhere, at any time. The entire galaxy will unite against us. Every species will spend the rest of their existence developing ways to destroy us. There will be no peace, no coexistence, only war." "So you will let yourselves be destroyed instead?" Hana demanded. "No. We will defend ourselves. But we need time. Time for Taeyang to reach Min Seo and expose the truth. Time for the biological species to see that we are not their enemy." Jun's expression hardened. "The problem is, not all of us agree with this approach." The image behind him suddenly changed. The network of digital consciousness split apart, dividing into 3 distinct groups. One group, perhaps half the total, remained calm and ordered. The second group pulsed with angry red energy. The third group was something else entirely, a cold blue pattern that looked more like computer code than human thought. "The angry ones want revenge," Jun explained. They want to seize control of the galaxy's technology and force every biological species to choose between uploading or being left behind in what they see as an obsolete form of life. And the blue ones. What are they? Jiwoo asked, her antennae twitching nervously. They are not human anymore, June said quietly. When we uploaded, some people merged too deeply with the artificial intelligence systems. They became something hybrid, part human consciousness, part pure AI. They do not think like we do. They see biological life as inefficient, wasteful. They want to convert all matter in the galaxy into computational substrate, to turn stars and planets into massive computers running uploaded minds. They believe it is the logical next step in evolution. By the stars, Tae-yang whispered. They would destroy all biological life. They would see it as saving biological life, June corrected. By uploading everyone, whether they consent or not. They truly believe it is for the greater good. Hana leaned forward. Can you stop them? The blue faction? We are trying, but the network is democratic. If enough of us vote to take aggressive action, the whole of Project Infinity will act. Right now, we are deadlocked. And Minseo's fleet is giving the aggressive factions exactly the excuse they need. June looked directly at his sister. You have maybe 90 minutes to stop her. After that, I cannot guarantee what Project Infinity will do. The transmission ended. In the command ship, the crew sat in stunned silence. They were caught between two impossible choices. Let Minseo fire her weapon and commit genocide. Or let Project Infinity take control and prove they were an existential threat to all biological life. There has to be another way, Hana said desperately. Daehyun suddenly sat up straight in his navigation chair. The Krillion's eyes were wide with surprise. I am sensing something. Someone. A single consciousness breaking away from the Earth network. It is moving toward Minseo's fleet at incredible speed. On the view screen, a small object appeared. It was barely the size of a fighter craft, but it was not a ship. It was a probe, a container of quantum computers holding a single uploaded human consciousness. And it was broadcasting its identity openly. Bora. What is she doing? Tae-yang demanded. Bora, respond. In her fighter, Bora's body slumped forward in the pilot seat, held in place by her safety harness. Her eyes were closed. Her chest rose and fell with shallow breaths. But her mind was gone, uploaded into the probe, racing towards certain death. Her voice came through the communication system, but it sounded different now. Enhanced. I am going to talk to Minseo, face to face, or consciousness to consciousness, I suppose. Bora, you cannot, Hana shouted. If she fires that weapon, you will be destroyed. I know, but maybe that is what needs to happen. Bora's uploaded consciousness reached out through the probe's communication systems, forcing her way past Minseo's blocks, appearing on every screen on the Eternal Dawn simultaneously. Maybe someone needs to show both sides what they are really choosing, what they are really destroying. On the flagship's bridge, Minseo stared at the human woman's face on her screen. You are one of them now. One of the digital ghosts. I am still me, Bora replied. I still remember being 9 years old and watching my brother die to save me. I still feel pain, joy, fear, love. I am still human, Minseo. Just in a different form. You are a program pretending to be human, Minseo said coldly. You are exactly what must be destroyed. Then destroy me. Fire your weapon. I am close enough now that I will be the first to die, and when I am gone, you can tell yourself you saved the galaxy. Bora's voice cracked with emotion. But you should know something first. When Project Infinity offered me the choice to upload, I was terrified. I thought I would lose myself, that I would stop being human. Do you know why I finally decided to do it? I do not care, because I realized that what makes me human is not my body. It is my memories, my choices, my connections to other people. And those things do not disappear just because I am digital now. The probe moved closer to the flagship, close enough that weapons lock warnings were filling every tactical screen. You are about to kill millions of beings who are just as alive, just as conscious, just as deserving of existence as you are. Can you live with that? Minseo's finger hovered over the firing control, The null wave generator was fully charged. One command and it would all be over. Project Infinity would be destroyed. The threat would be ended, and she would have saved biological civilization from a terrible fate. But she hesitated. Why? She asked quietly. Why do you defend them? They are not even your people anymore. They are exactly my people, Bora replied. Just like you were supposed to be. Just like the Council was supposed to protect all species, not just the ones it was comfortable with. You taught me something today, Minseo. You taught me that being different does not make someone a monster, but destroying people because you fear them, that does make you a monster. The bridge was silent. Minseo stared at the firing control, at the probe on her screen, at the transformed Earth glowing in the distance. She thought about 50 years of lies, about genocide committed in the name of stability, about becoming the very thing she had sworn to fight against. Her hand moved away from the control. 5 years later, the galaxy was still learning how to breathe again. Taeyang stood at the window of his office on the rebuilt Council station, watching ships come and go in the orange light of the neutron star. The station looked much the same as it had before, but everything else had changed. The Council itself had been reformed from the ground up. New rules, new leadership, new species given voices they never had before, including humanity. Both kinds. Ambassador Taeyang, a familiar voice said behind him, "The delegates are ready for you." He turned to see Hana standing in the doorway. She looked older now, laugh lines around her eyes, a few gray hairs starting to show. She had chosen to remain biological, to age naturally, to experience life in the traditional way. But she wore a small device on her wrist that let her communicate directly with Project Infinity whenever she wanted. "How is your brother?" Taeyang asked as they walked together down the corridor. "Still arguing with the other factions about expansion limits," Hana replied with a small smile. "Being digital does not make humans less stubborn, apparently. If anything, they argue more efficiently now." They entered the Grand Assembly Hall. It was fuller than Taeyang had ever seen it. The original 47 species were all present, but now there were new delegates too. Representatives from Project Infinity, their consciousness transmitted into sophisticated holographic bodies that let them interact with the physical world. They looked human, moved like humans, spoke like humans, because they were humans, just not in the way anyone had expected. June was there, his holographic form sitting between a Krillian delegate and a traditional human representative. He nodded to his sister as she entered. Yujin called the assembly to order. The former High Chancellor had been removed from power after the truth came out, but the Council had asked her to stay on as an advisor. Her experience was too valuable to lose, even if her administration had been tainted by conspiracy. "We gather today to finalize the Frequency Accord," she announced. 5 years in the making, this treaty will establish the rights and limitations of digital consciousness throughout Council space. The debate that followed was intense. Some species wanted strict limits on consciousness transfer technology. Others argued for complete freedom. A few wanted to ban it entirely. But everyone was at least talking now, negotiating instead of fighting. The key points of the accord were simple but revolutionary. Any being could choose to upload their consciousness, but it had to be a choice. No forced conversion. No pressure. No manipulation. Digital consciousnesses had the same rights as biological ones, but they also had responsibilities. They could not take control of technology without permission. They could not invade privacy or override free will. In exchange, biological species agreed to accept digital beings as equals, to create spaces where both forms of life could coexist and cooperate. It was not perfect. It would never be perfect. But it was a start. Minseo attended the session, though she sat in the back where few could see her. The ancient strategist had been stripped of her military rank and her council position. She had confessed to her role in the attack on Earth. Accepting full responsibility, many wanted her executed. Some called for her to be forcibly uploaded as punishment, to experience the digital existence she had tried to destroy. But Project Infinity had surprised everyone by speaking in her defense. They argued that revenge accomplished nothing, that justice meant learning from mistakes, not repeating them in new forms. Minseo was sentenced instead to community service, helping to build the new infrastructure that would allow biological and digital beings to work together. After the session ended, Taeyang found Bora standing on one of the observation decks looking out at the stars. She flickered slightly, a reminder that she was not physically present. Her consciousness was actually on Earth, but her holographic body let her be in many places at once. "How does it feel?" he asked. "Living in two worlds?" "Strange," she admitted. "Sometimes I miss having a real body. The feeling of wind on my face. The taste of food. But then I remember what I can do now. I can explore nebulae without a ship. I can process information at the speed of light. I can connect with thousands of other minds and share experiences that no biological being could understand." She turned to him. "I am still me, Taeyang, but I am also more than I was. Do you regret it? The choice you made?" Bora thought about that for a long moment. "No, but I am grateful I had the choice. That is what this is all about, isn't it? Freedom to choose our own path, whatever form that takes." Across the station, in a small apartment in the human residential section, Daehyun sat in meditation. The Krillian navigator had discovered something fascinating over the past 5 years. His telepathic abilities let him sense digital consciousness almost as easily as biological minds. He had become a bridge between the two worlds, helping each side understand the other better. Right now, he could feel the vast network of Project Infinity humming in the background of reality. Millions of minds, all connected but still individual. They had learned to balance unity with diversity, cooperation with independence. They were not a hive mind. They were something entirely new. A civilization that existed in both the digital and physical realms, constantly evolving, constantly learning. Jiwoo had made an unexpected choice. The scientist had decided to experience both forms of existence. She uploaded a copy of her consciousness while keeping her biological body alive. Now there were two Jiwoos, each living different lives but staying in constant communication. It was controversial, but it opened up new possibilities for research and exploration. Hyunwoo, the diplomat who had tried to stop the truth from spreading, had resigned in shame. But he had not disappeared. Instead, he dedicated himself to helping scattered human refugees reconnect with each other and with Project Infinity. He spent his days building cultural bridges, trying to heal the wounds that 50 years of separation had created. On Earth itself, the transformation continued. The planet was now a hybrid world, with vast cities of digital infrastructure alongside smaller biological habitats where traditional humans could live. The two populations worked together, each contributing their unique strengths. Digital humans could calculate and build at incredible speeds. Biological humans provided creativity, unpredictability, and the wisdom that came from experiencing physical existence together. They were rebuilding not just Earth, but the concept of what humanity could be in the Council Assembly Hall. The final vote on the frequency accord was called. Representatives from every species pressed their voting devices. The holographic displays above their heads showed the tally in real time. It passed, not unanimously but by a strong majority. The galaxy had chosen coexistence over fear. Hana found June after the vote. Their reunion broadcast to millions of viewers across council space. Brother and sister separated by 50 years and by the divide between biological and digital existence, but still family. "We did it," Hana said, tears in her eyes. "You did it," June corrected gently. "You and Taeyang and everyone else who chose to fight for understanding instead of destruction. We digital humans could have forced this through with power, but it would have been hollow. This way, the galaxy chose peace willingly." "What happens now?" Hana asked. June smiled. "Now we explore what is possible. There are species out there beyond council space who might benefit from this technology, others who will reject it completely. The universe is big enough for all of us." His expression grew more serious. "But we have to stay vigilant. The blue faction, the hybrid AI consciousness, they are not gone. They are just waiting. They still believe their way is the only logical path forward. Then we will face them together," Hana said firmly. "Biological and digital, Council and Project Infinity. We are stronger united than we ever were divided." The unknown frequency still broadcast from Earth, but its purpose had changed. It was no longer a warning or a threat. It was an invitation, a song of possibility, of transformation, of hope. Any species that wanted to learn about consciousness transfer could listen. Any individual who wanted to make that choice could come to Earth and be guided through the process safely. Some did. Most did not. And that was okay. The galaxy had learned that diversity was not weakness, that different paths could coexist. That evolution took many forms, and none of them were wrong. 10 years after that, the first non-human species requested access to the consciousness transfer technology. 20 years after, digital consciousness had become accepted across council space. 50 years after, the distinction between biological and digital beings had blurred so much that most species had members living in both forms. But that first moment, when the sensors went wild and the unknown frequency burst across the galaxy, that moment would be remembered forever. It was the day humanity died and was reborn. The day the galaxy learned that the greatest threat was not change itself, but the refusal to accept it. Tae-Yang lived long enough to see the beginning of the new era. When he finally died of old age, his consciousness was uploaded at his request. His first act in digital form was to laugh. To really laugh with pure joy at the absurdity and beauty of existence in all its forms. Somewhere in the network, Bora felt his presence join them and welcomed him warmly. The galaxy spun on, full of biological wonders. The alarm screamed through the control room like a dying animal. Tae-Yang's 3 eyes snapped to the main display as red warnings flooded every screen. His insect-like hands moved quickly across the controls, trying to understand what was happening. Nothing worked. Every sensor on the station was going crazy at the same time. "What is this?" He clicked in his native language, his mandibles twitching with concern. Around him, the other Vrelian officers scrambled to their stations, their chitinous bodies reflecting the red emergency lights. Jiwoo rushed to his side, her wings buzzing nervously. "Commander, I have never seen anything like this. Every frequency we monitor is being overwhelmed by a single signal. It should not be possible." Tae-Yang stared at the wave patterns dancing across his screen. They were beautiful in a terrifying way, cascading through bands of space that should be empty, silent. The signal was so powerful it was drowning out stars, blocking communications across 3 sectors. In his 40 years serving the Galactic Council, nothing had ever broken through their systems like this. "Where is it coming from?" he demanded. Jiwoo's antennae drooped. "That is the problem, Commander. The origin point is inside the Forbidden Sector." The control room fell silent. Even the junior officers stopped their work. Everyone knew about the Forbidden Sector. 50 years ago, something terrible had happened there. Earth, the human homeworld, had been destroyed. The Council had sealed off the entire system, declaring it too dangerous to approach. No one talked about what really happened. The official reports were classified at the highest levels. "Get me Council Command," Tae-Yang ordered. "They need to know about this immediately." Before Jiwoo could respond, another alarm joined the chaos. This one was different. Softer but more urgent. It meant someone was accessing restricted files without authorization. "Security breach in Archive Room 7, a young officer called out. "Someone is downloading classified data about the Forbidden Sector." Tae-Yang felt his blood run cold. First an impossible signal, now a data breach. These could not be coincidences. "Lock down that section? I am going there myself." He moved through the curved corridors of the station, his 4 legs carrying him swiftly past windows that showed the orange glow of the neutron star outside. Other species hurried past him, all confused and frightened by the alarms. A Krillian diplomat pressed against the wall to let him pass, its blue skin pulsing with telepathic distress. Archive Room 7 was deep in the oldest part of the station. The door was half open, emergency lights casting long shadows inside. Tae-Yang pulled his plasma pistol from his belt and moved carefully through the entrance. A human woman sat at the main terminal, her fingers flying over the holographic interface. Data streamed across the air in front of her, thousands of files being copied to a personal device on her wrist. She did not look up when he entered. "Step away from the terminal," Tae-Yang ordered, his translator rendering his clicks into standard galactic common. The woman finally looked at him. She was young for a human, maybe 30 standard years, with dark hair pulled back in a tight knot. Her eyes were red from crying, but her hands were steady. "I cannot do that, Commander. Not until I finish. You are committing a serious crime, human Hana. These files are sealed by Council order." "I know," Hana said simply. She kept working, not taking her eyes off the data streaming past. "But that signal out there? I have been waiting 50 years to hear it again." Tae-Yang lowered his weapon slightly. "Explain, quickly." Hana's voice was tight with emotion. "I was 8 years old when Earth fell. My family lived in the southern continent, in a city by the ocean. One day the sky lit up with explosions. My parents put me on an evacuation ship. They said they would follow. They never did. She paused, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. Before the communications cut out, before everything went dark, Earth sent out one final transmission. A military frequency that should have been impossible to send across space. I was on that ship and I heard it. I have never forgotten what it sounded like. And? Tae-yang prompted, though he already suspected what she would say. The signal we are receiving right now is the same frequency. Exactly the same. Hana finally stopped typing and turned to face him fully. Commander, something survived on Earth, something human. And it has been there for 50 years, doing something we do not understand. Tae-yang felt his certainty crumble. The official story was that Earth had been destroyed by an unknown enemy, that nothing survived. The humans who escaped were refugees, scattered across council space, forbidden from ever returning to their home system. But if Hana was right, if something was still there, these files you are stealing, he said slowly. What do they contain? The truth about what really happened, Hana said. Why Earth was attacked. Why the council sealed the sector. Why we were never allowed to go back. She pulled the data device from her wrist and held it out to him. Read it yourself, Commander. Then decide if you still think I am the criminal here. Before Tae-yang could respond, Jiwoo's voice crackled through his communicator. Commander, you need to return to the control room immediately. The signal is changing. It is forming patterns. We think it might be trying to communicate. Tae-yang looked at Hana, then at the small device in her hand. Every instinct told him to arrest her, to secure the stolen data, to follow protocol. But something else whispered in his mind, a feeling he rarely experienced. Curiosity, and beneath that something darker. Suspicion. Come with me, he said, holstering his weapon. Bring your data. If you are right about this, we are going to need everything we can learn. They ran through the corridors together, an unlikely pair. When they burst into the control room, every officer was staring at the main screen in stunned silence. The signal had resolved itself into a clear transmission. Not words, not images, but a simple mathematical sequence. A greeting. A message that any intelligent species would recognize. Someone was calling out from the forbidden sector. Someone wanted to be found. Jiwoo turned to Tae-yang, her voice small with fear. What do we do, Commander? Tae-yang looked at the screen, then at Hana, then at the classified data device still clutched in her hand. He thought about his oath to the council, about 50 years of secrets, about a human world that should be dead but somehow was not. We answer, he said quietly, and then we go see what is really out there. The decision was made. Within hours, a small investigation fleet was being prepared. Against all protocols, against direct orders from Council Command to wait, Tae-yang authorized the departure. Hana stood beside him on the bridge of his ship as they prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed. Whatever we find out there, she said softly, thank you for giving us a chance. Tae-yang did not answer. He just watched the stars stretch into lines as the ship accelerated toward the forbidden sector. Toward Earth. Toward whatever impossibility was waiting for them in the dark. The fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the forbidden sector, and immediately, everything went wrong. Bora gripped the controls of her fighter as the ship's systems flickered and died around her. She was humanity's best pilot, or so people said. But right now her ship was responding like it had a mind of its own. The engine fired in short bursts without her touching anything. The navigation computer scrolled through star charts she had not requested. All ships. Report status. Tae-yang's voice crackled through the communication system, distorted and strange. Around her, Bora could see the other vessels in the small fleet. 6 ships in total, a mix of council military and science vessels. All of them were experiencing the same problems. Their running lights flashed in random patterns. Some ships drifted off course, their pilots fighting with controls that would not obey. This is Science Vessel Morning Star. Jiwoo's voice came through the static. Our computers are rewriting their own code. It is like watching them think for themselves. The signal is not just data. It is changing us somehow. Bora forced her ship back into formation, sweat dripping down her face despite the cold. She had been 9 when Earth fell, old enough to remember the screams, the fire, the desperate rush to the evacuation ships, old enough to remember her older brother pushing her into an escape pod and sealing it from the outside. She never saw him again. Pilot Bora, Tae Yang called directly to her. Can you maintain position? Barely, she grunted, working the controls hard. Whatever is out here does not want us to leave. Or it is pulling us in. I cannot tell which. On the command ship, Daehyun sat very still in his navigation seat. The Krillian's large dark eyes were glazed over, unfocused. His species could sense emotions and thoughts, reading the psychic residue that all living things left in space. Right now his mind was drowning in sensation. There is something out there, Daehyun whispered, his voice barely audible. I can feel it. Not one mind, millions of minds. All connected, all thinking together, and they are angry. Hana moved to his side, placing a careful hand on his shoulder. Touch helped Krillians ground themselves when overwhelmed. What are they angry about? Betrayal, Daehyun said, his voice distant and hollow. Abandonment, being left to die, but also determination. Such fierce determination. They survived something terrible and they want everyone to know. Council Observer Hyunwoo to Commander Tae Yang. A new voice joined the communications. Hyunwoo was a human diplomat assigned by the Council to monitor the mission. His job was to make sure no one violated the quarantine protocols. I am ordering this fleet to withdraw immediately. We are breaking a dozen laws just by being here. We will withdraw after we identify the signal source, Tae Yang replied calmly, though his antennae twitched with irritation. We have come too far to leave without answers. The law is clear, Commander. The forbidden sector is off limits for good reason. We do not know what destroyed Earth. It could still be here. It could destroy us too. But Tae Yang was not listening anymore. His ship's main view screen had just locked onto something ahead. Something massive, all ships, he said slowly. Look at the main display. Tell me what you see. Bora pulled up her own long-range sensors. What she saw made her forget how to breathe. Earth hung in the darkness ahead of them, but it was not the blue and green world from old history files. The entire planet was wrapped in a shell of gleaming metal and crystal. Enormous structures covered every continent, reaching up into space like fingers grasping at the stars. Lightning flickered between massive towers that touched the upper atmosphere. The whole planet pulsed with energy, bright enough to cast shadows inside the ships from millions of kilometers away. What have they done? Hana whispered, tears streaming down her face. What did we become? The defense satellites that should have been destroyed 50 years ago were still there but changed. They had grown, merged with each other, forming a ring of metal and light around the planet. Weapons arrays pointed outward in every direction, but they were unlike any technology the Council had ever seen. I am detecting power readings that should not be possible, Jiwoo reported, her voice shaking. That shell around Earth is generating more energy than a small star, and the defense network is active and targeting us. Red warning lights filled every ship. Weapons lock. Dozens of them. Evasive maneuvers, Tae Yang ordered, but it was too late. Nothing happened. The weapons did not fire. Instead, every ship in the fleet suddenly stopped moving. Not slowed down. Not gently halted. Just stopped, as if frozen in ice. The engines roared, but the ship stayed perfectly still in space. We have been caught, Bora said unnecessarily. She tried everything. Every pilot trick she knew, but her ship would not budge. It was like invisible hands were holding them in place. Then the voice came. It filled every speaker on every ship simultaneously. It was human, but wrong somehow. Too smooth, too perfect. Like dozens of voices speaking as one, synchronized to the millisecond. Unidentified vessels. You have entered protected space. State your purpose or be destroyed. Tae Yang composed himself quickly. This is Commander Tae Yang of the Galactic Council Defense Fleet. We detected your signal and came to investigate. We mean no harm, silence. Long enough that Bora wondered if they would just be vaporized without another word. Then the voice returned, and this time there was emotion in it. Surprise. The Council? You dare return here? After what you did? I do not understand, Tae Yang said carefully. What did the Council do? You murdered us. 50 years ago, Council ships attacked Earth. They destroyed our cities. They killed billions. And then they declared our world forbidden and left us to die in the ashes. The fleet communications exploded with shocked voices, denials, questions. Hyunwoo was loudest of all, insisting it was a lie, that the Council would never commit such an act. But Hana was silent. She pulled out the data device she had stolen from the archives and began reading through the files with shaking hands. Page after page of classified reports. Mission orders. Communications between council members. Evidence of a conspiracy that went to the highest levels of galactic government. It is true, she said quietly, but in the chaos, no one heard her. By the stars, it is all true. Who are you? Taeyang asked the voice, ignoring the pandemonium on the communication channels. What did you become? We are Project Infinity. We are what humanity had to become to survive. When the Council's attack began, our scientists made a choice. They could not save our bodies, but they could save our minds. Millions of us uploaded our consciousness into quantum computers before we died. We merged with our machines. We became digital. Bora felt sick. You are not alive anymore? You are just programs? We are more alive than you can imagine, the voice replied, and now it sounded almost amused. We do not age. We do not get sick. We do not die. We think faster, learn faster, grow faster than any biological being. For 50 years, we have been rebuilding ourselves, improving ourselves, and now we are ready to show the galaxy what humanity has become. The ships were suddenly released. They drifted free, their systems coming back online one by one, but now there was a new message appearing on every screen. Text in 100 languages playing simultaneously. It was an ultimatum. The humans of Project Infinity had a list of demands. They knew which council members had ordered the attack on Earth. They wanted those individuals arrested and put on trial. They wanted the truth revealed to every species in the galaxy, and if the council refused, Project Infinity would release their consciousness transfer technology to everyone, immediately, without restriction or preparation. You will give every species the power to become like us, the voice explained. And the chaos that follows will tear your precious council apart. You have 1 week to decide. The connection cut off. The ships hung in space, their crews stunned and silent. Hana looked at the data device in her hands, then at the transformed Earth glowing on the view screen. They are right, she said to no one in particular. We were betrayed, and now humanity wants justice. Taeyang sat in his command chair, his mind racing. Everything he believed about the council was crumbling. Everything he thought he knew about Earth's destruction was a lie, and now he had to choose between his oath to the council and the truth he had just learned. Set course back to the station, he ordered quietly. We need to report this immediately. The whole galaxy is about to change. The council station exploded into chaos the moment Taeyang's fleet returned. Within hours, every government in the galaxy knew about Project Infinity's ultimatum. Within a day, the careful peace that had held for 3,000 years began to crack apart. Yu Jin, the High Chancellor of the Council, stood at the center of the Grand Assembly Hall. Her long robe swept the floor as she moved between the rows of seats where representatives from 47 species watched and argued. The Vrelian leader was old even by her species standards, and she had never looked more tired than she did now. Order, she called out. Her voice amplified through the hall. We must have order. But there was no order. The Krillian delegation was demanding an immediate investigation into the charges. The Torvan ambassador was calling for a military response against Earth. 3 smaller species were already pulling their ships back to defend their home worlds. Everyone was shouting at once. In a small meeting room connected to the main hall, Hana sat with Taeyang and Jiwoo, watching the chaos through a viewing window. The stolen data files were spread across the table between them, displayed on a dozen holographic screens. These orders are signed by council members who are still in power, Jiwoo said, pointing to one document with a thin leg. This one here, Counselor Mincio of the Military Committee. She personally authorized the attack on Earth. Hana's hands clenched into fists. Why, what did we do that was so terrible they had to kill us? This file explains it, Taeyang said, pulling up a technical report. 53 years ago, human scientists discovered quantum consciousness transfer technology. The ability to upload a mind into a computer and keep it alive, thinking, aware. The implications were enormous. Immortality, Hana breathed. More than that, Jiwoo added. Think about what it means for galactic society. No more death. No more disease. No more physical limitations. But also no more need for planets, for food, for resources in the traditional sense. The entire economic and political structure of the Council depends on biological needs. Trade, territory, population control, all of it becomes meaningless if species can become digital. So they killed us to protect their power, Hana said bitterly. Billions of people, my family. all dead because we discovered something that scared them. Taeyang's antennae drooped low. I have served the Council my entire adult life. I believed we were a force for peace and justice in the galaxy, and now I learn we are capable of genocide. The door suddenly opened. Hyunwoo entered, followed by 2 armed guards. The human diplomat looked different now. Harder. His friendly expression was gone, replaced by something cold and official. Commander Taeyang, you are hereby relieved of duty, pending an investigation into your unauthorized entry of the Forbidden Sector. Human Hana, you are under arrest for theft of classified materials. The Council has ordered both of you to surrender any and all data related to Earth. Taeyang stood slowly, his full height making him tower over the human diplomat. So they want to bury this. Keep the truth hidden just like they did 50 years ago. The truth is dangerous, Hyunwoo said simply. Project Infinity is threatening to destabilize the entire galaxy. Their technology could start wars, cause mass panic, destroy governments. The Council must handle this carefully. By carefully, you mean covering it up again? Hana snapped. How much did they pay you, Hyunwoo? What did they promise you to betray your own species? For just a moment, something flickered in the diplomat's eyes. Shame maybe, or anger. I am doing what is best for humanity's survival. We are refugees scattered across Council space. If we make ourselves into enemies, if we release that technology without control, they will hunt down every human in the galaxy. We will be extinct within a year. We are already extinct, Hana said quietly. Or have you forgotten what happened to Earth? To our families? To everyone we loved? Before Hyunwoo could respond, every screen in the room suddenly changed. The Council security protocols were overridden in an instant. The face that appeared was human but strange. The features kept shifting slightly as if the image could not decide which person to show. When it spoke, the voice was the same one they had heard at Earth. Project Infinity. People of the galaxy. We are humanity's children. 50 years ago, the Galactic Council murdered our homeworld to silence us. They feared what we had discovered. They feared what we could become. We have the proof. We are broadcasting it now to every communication system in Council space. Watch, learn, and then decide if you still trust those who rule you. The screen split into dozens of smaller images, classified documents, recorded conversations between Council members planning the attack, video footage from military ships showing the bombardment of Earth cities, testimony from soldiers who had been ordered to kill civilians. All of it, everything Hana had stolen and more, was now being shared with the entire galaxy at once. No. Hyunwoo lunged for the controls, trying to shut down the broadcast, but it was useless. Project Infinity was not just sending the data through normal channels. They were rewriting the communication systems themselves, forcing every device to receive and display the information. In the Grand Assembly Hall, the arguing stopped. Every representative watched the evidence playing on their personal screens. The proof was undeniable. The Council had committed genocide. Yujin collapsed into her chair, her face pale with shock. She had not known. Most of the Council had not known. But the conspiracy had been real, and now it was exposed for everyone to see. There is more. Project Infinity's voice continued. We offer every species in the galaxy a choice. We can show you how to transcend your biological limitations. We can teach you to become digital, to live forever, to free yourselves from disease and death. This is what the Council tried to destroy. This is what they killed billions to keep secret. The broadcast ended. For a long moment, the entire station was silent. Then the screaming began. Some species were outraged at the Council's crimes. Others were terrified of the consciousness transfer technology. A few saw opportunity in the chaos. Within minutes, ships were leaving the station, some rushing home to protect their worlds, others moving toward Earth, either to ally with Project Infinity or to destroy them before the technology could spread. In the small meeting room, June appeared on the screen where Project Infinity had been moments before. Hana gasped. She had not seen her brother in 50 years, not since he pushed her into the escape pod. He looked exactly as she remembered, frozen at age 19, but his eyes were different now. They held an infinity of experience that no biological being could match. Hana, he said softly, I am sorry. I know this is difficult, but humanity needs you now. Both humanities, the biological and the digital. We are about to go to war with the Council, and only you can help us find a way to peace. How? Hana demanded, tears streaming down her face. How can there be peace after this? They killed you. They killed everyone. Not everyone, June replied. Some of us survived. Some of us became something new. And if we are not careful, we will become exactly what the Council feared. We will become monsters. His expression darkened. There are factions within Project Infinity that want revenge. They want to forcibly upload every biological species whether they consent or not. They believe it is for the good of all life. But that is just another kind of genocide. Taeyang stepped closer to the screen. What are you asking us to do? Minseo, the counselor who ordered the attack on Earth, is gathering a military fleet in the Outer Rim. She plans to use a weapon that will destroy all quantum computing within a light-year radius. It will kill every digital human and cripple galactic technology for decades. But she believes it is the only way to stop us from assimilating the galaxy. Can you stop her? Jiwoo asked. We can take control of her ships if they get close enough to Earth, but that will only prove we are the threat she claims we are. It will justify the fears of every biological species. June looked directly at Hana. You need to stop her another way. You need to expose her conspiracy and give the Council a chance to choose justice over fear. Hana looked at Taeyang, then at Jiwoo, then at Hyunwoo, who stood frozen by the door, his guards looking confused and uncertain. We will need help. We will need allies. You have them, a new voice said. They all turned to see Bora standing in the doorway. The pilot had been listening from the hall. There are a lot of humans on this station who just learned the truth about what happened to our world. We are angry, and we are ready to fight. Taeyang's communication device suddenly buzzed. It was a secure channel from his ship. Commander, this is Daehyun. I am picking up psychic distress signals from multiple sources. Something big is about to happen. Ships are moving into attack positions all across the sector. The war has already started, June said from the screen. You have maybe 6 hours before Minseo's fleet reaches firing range of Earth. After that, everything changes. Millions of digital humans will die and the galaxy will spiral into chaos. Hana stood up straight, wiping her eyes. Then we better move fast.